This is Crew with Electric Ground, and I'm back with a returning guest, Susan Sistrunk, the artist, though. Teacher, you guys already knew that. She had a gallery in Waco. She's moved out west, and we're just trying to get this update on what you got going on now. So, how are things here in Killeen, Coppers Cove, Kentner area?
Very peaceful. I moved out to the country. We're on about 5 acres outside of Coppers Cove in Kempner. And I'm loving the nature out here and how quiet it is. It's a good area to focus.
And has that helped you? That definitely has helped you with your creative juices and putting together some pieces, right?
Absolutely. I've been here a little over 3 months now. And in the 3 months I've been here, I've probably created more artwork than I have the entire year prior to the move.
Progress. One of the examples of what happened when you get dialed in and your environment changes. So
yeah, the focusing part has been crucial to getting a lot of work done. And I've seen my artwork take a different direction in the past 3 months that I didn't see that previously.
And it was a good direction. Which direction did it go?
Several different directions. I'm doing a lot more landscapes now. I'm kind of more focused on where I can see a collective show going, more focused than I have been in the last couple of years. I can see a body of work that I can create now in my mind that is cohesive and will work well together to represent my vision of the Texas landscapes that I love so much, primarily in the Big Bend region.
And that's definitely taken you out of your element from being in a brick and mortar spot outside within the conditions out there, right?
Yeah, it is different. I got a little bit spoiled having my own space where people could walk in and view my artwork and purchase it. That's true, but at the same time, I don't have the distractions of the gallery anymore and the constant interruptions of customer calls, artist calls. So it's definitely been a transition period as far as getting used to the quiet.
Gotcha.
At first was something that was startling to me. Wait a minute, I don't have all of this background noise anymore. Now what do I do with it?
Yeah.
So it took me a moment to adjust.
That's right. And with this quietness, you haven't had any challenges with finding motivation with it just being y'all out here?
That's a good question because it does require a lot of self-discipline now. There's no babysitter telling me to get up and make art every day or to work on my podcast, which is something else that I'm doing.
What's the name of the podcast?
Podcast is called Echoes in the Gallery. It's a fictitious art crime thriller, and it is on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeart Radio. Right now I'm on volume 1, and I'm looking at getting it published into a book this year.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that. But there again, with writing, there's no one, telling me I have to get up and write every day. There's no deadline. There's no alarm clock unless I set it myself. It's more self-discipline than I've always been pretty self-disciplined, but this takes it to a whole new level because there is no one telling me I have to do these things.
Yes.
It's just my own schedule that I've made and my own expectations of what I want to accomplish within a given space of time. How will I use the time that I have? Because I have ultimate freedom with time right now.
That's it. And see, the thing is too, it's fair to say that your drive and energy is increased with you having to take such an initiative and make things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I have the time, I value it differently than I used to. Now it's not split, it's not fractured so much as it was before, where if I wanted to make art, I needed to rush and make it in an hour or something. Now I've gone back to the model of making art that I had before I ran the gallery, which was I would have 5 to 6 pieces going at the same time in various levels of production, and I'll show you some more of that here in a minute. Various levels of production, and then I'd kind of finish them one at a time. So something was always being finished. I wasn't concentrating on just one work of art. I had four to six usually in production, and then I'd start another one as one got finished. So I have one I'm going to finish today, and I'll probably start another one today, but that one will be in the infancy stage, and something else will be farther along to be finished in a couple of days from now.
That's right, and it's productivity, that's it. When it comes to the landscape art, what would you say is the most appealing thing that the viewer would recognize in your paintings about the landscape?
I love how diverse Texas landscape is. You can go from the side of West Texas where it's Post area when you're driving to New Mexico, and it's completely flat and there's nothing for miles. And then you can go into the hill country and see trees and rolling hills. You can go to East Texas and see the piney woods as you're heading towards Louisiana. And then you can go to my favorite region, which is the Big Bend region, and see canyons and, old volcanoes from millions of years ago, and tons of igneous rock on the ground, and the Rio Grande cutting through the landscape over millions of years. And it's so diverse, and Texas is really rich in its diversity. It's at times when I'm traveling around this state, I can't believe I'm in the same state when I'm traveling around.
It seems like you're somewhere else.
But I definitely know when I'm back in Central Texas because my allergies tell me so.
Pollen, cedar, and all of that.
All of it.
Yeah. Well, and then the landscapes also including bodies of water and all of that. So I find it interesting that you're able to identify the artistic perspective in these locations that not everybody travels in. I mean, it's really remote, isn't it?
There are some really remote places I've been. I'd never been to Fort Parker before this year. We'd originally planned on going to the coast, and a few things happened that just derailed the trip to the coast, and we ended up at Fort Parker instead. And I didn't know about this little state park. And so we've traveled around to a lot of the tinier state parks, and there are some real hidden gems around here as far as state park areas that have beautiful waterfalls, and they're very secluded. They're off the beaten path, and not a lot of people know about them. We pulled up to Fort Davis State Park. That one was kind of crowded that day, but again, it's off the beaten path. If you're not going to Marfa or Terlingua, you're probably not going to Fort Davis unless you're just driving through it or you're going to the observatory. But there are a lot of these places around the state that people don't know are there. And it's been really rich for me to be able to go to these places, take a whole bunch of reference photos, and then come back to the studio and put that vision onto canvas.
Nice. Let's go transplant little insight on what the rest of the area has to offer. They don't get out, they'll use you to bring it back home.
Right. I mean, if a lot of my clients who buy art are older and don't travel that much anymore, so they see memories of when they traveled around Texas in some of my artwork, and it brings those memories back to them, which I find that beautiful when someone says to me, "Oh, I went there 30 years ago, but I don't travel much anymore, but I hung that in my living room, and it makes me think of it every chance I get." So
you see, with a lot of your clients being on the older side, you're still plotting and aiming to target the younger age group here coming up, right?
I think there's, I'm working on that. There is, unfortunately, with the below 30 crowd, I've seen a collective, it's not true for everybody, but I've seen a collective lack of art appreciation when it comes to original art because everything is so digital now. And anyone below 30, under 30, grew up in a world, they've never known a world without the internet. So they've never known a world without digital art. They've never known a world without digital creativity. So it's just, I see it as another opportunity to educate people about, yes, digital art can be used in its own right and in its own applications, but before even digital art is created, someone has to draw that first.
1000%.
Someone has to draw it, someone has to think it, someone has to, it has to come from a source, basically, and a human source.
Yes. The originators was always something that wasn't digital. So. Well, I can see that translating over to younger crowd if you can show them what they're missing and the beauty of just really being out there, untapped areas. I think it probably broadens their perspective. I
see more teenagers getting back into drawing and creating now, so that gives me some hope for the future.
And for us to get more hope for the future, to the audience and the crowd, we'll go ahead and have you show us around different pieces you got. So
awesome.